There was defiance today in the streets of Hong Kong and arrests as well. Authorities warned people not to show up for a major vigil in one of the city's biggest parks to mark China's deadly crackdown in Tiananmen Square. Yet hundreds still gathered. But take a look at this image. This is what these vigils normally look like in years past. The two bottom images reflect last year and today. Officials have cited the pandemic as the reason to ban the event. Hong Kong has been unstable in recent years as Chinese influence grows, and now there's an exodus from this global financial center because, as Britt Clennett reports, many think Beijing is desperately trying to erase the past, and many won't stand for it.
This is what resistance looks like in Hong Kong these days. Police deployed in the thousands, barricading the city's Victoria Park, where the Tiananmen Vigil has taken place every year on June 4th for decades.
They've blocked up the area, they're not letting anyone inside, so instead people are lighting up their phones and encircling the entire park.
Hong Kong still finding a way to remember those who died around Tiananmen Square during the bloody crackdown by the Chinese military in 1989.
Or maybe the last opportunity that we have to stand up and to voice out for these people and for ourselves.
The city clearly on edge.
Some candles there to mark June 4th, and the police were irked and then moved in. This is really how on edge Hong Kong is right now. Someone lights a few candles, police just swarm in.
For the second year in a row, authorities here cited the pandemic as the reason for the ban.
This says, don't let June 4th be censored.
And this year, officials have the ammunition from the sweeping national security law imposed by Beijing to quash dissent in the former British colony. Beijing views the protests that erupted 32 years ago as a failed Western-inspired rebellion. It's the same label applied to the mass protests that rocked this city to its core in 2019. Now the memories of both are in danger of being rewritten by the security law. Just simple iconography of the 2019 protests like this, yellow helmets, gas masks, and this statue the protesters call Lady Liberty, all may now attract the wrong kind of attention, as it did to this man's business earlier this spring.
They were speaking very loud, yelling at my staff, just simply asking for ID cards. They were shouting and they were just very unusually rude. And then it was the time that I realized that it is actually not a product search. It's an intimidation exercise.
I can see Ga Yao, which was a rallying cry of the 2019 protests.
Yeah. This is do not forget.
Do not forget.
Do not forget. And Hong Kong. And that one on the far right corner is protect the future.
Activists say an era of fear has descended onto Hong Kong in the form of clampdowns to stifle press, education, the arts. The city has also had its electoral system transformed since the pandemic, with pro-Beijing groups now emboldened. All this leading to an exodus. When we last met up with student activist Joey Su 1 year ago, she was busy campaigning for a friend who was running in Hong Kong's legislative elections.
We'll be fighting until our last breath before the implementation of the national security law.
Shortly after our interview, the elections were cancelled, and Joey found herself on a flight out of the city.
When I really got on the plane, I was crying, not only because that I had to leave this city probably forever, but then I also felt very bad for my family members.
That friend she was campaigning for, arrested and jailed with 46 other pro-democracy activists. Joey now lives in Washington, D.C.
I am kind of relieved that I am now on a piece of free land, and I no longer have the fear of being kidnapped by the agents of the National Security Department.
Much of the changes in the city have taken place under the leadership of Carrie Lam. Her unabashed support of Beijing policy helped fuel the protests. Her advisor, Ronnie Tong, tells us it's still too early for political concessions.
Do you admit that there is a kind of exodus?
I can't deny that, but looking at the figures that I have looked at, we are not entering into anything more than what we have seen during the 80s.
You say if you're unhappy, leave. Where's your reassuring plea?
I would say that, you know, if you do understand the one country, two systems, that we are part of China, that is a fact that you can't change. Not only it's a fact you can't change, but it's a fact you need to respect.
This matter of respect is now an issue of freedom. Hong Kong authorities had warned that anyone who takes part in an unauthorized gathering could be jailed for up to 5 years. And pro-Beijing officials have repeatedly said the vigil's call for a democratic China could violate the security law. And across the city, people marked Tiananmen with creative, albeit smaller, gestures. Even at the United States consulate, rows of candles could be seen from the street, burning for the victims of Tiananmen. We met Herbert again at one of his pro-democracy shops steps away from the park. A group of police positioning themselves across the street as the lights inside his store went out to mark a moment of remembrance.
Hong Kong would never forget June 4th. Never.
How can you guarantee that?
Parents like us are going to tell our children. Because I can also guarantee that because we are the majority. Remember this, we are the majority.
Britt Clennett for ABC News, Hong Kong.
The U.S. State Department chiming in, releasing a statement, saying that they support the advocates. Our thanks to Britt for that report.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.